Welcome to the Unconsumed podcast. I'm Lee Corning.
And I'm Chris Ryder.
You may have noticed that we've been gone for a couple weeks and we promised a holiday episode, but it didn't happen on time.
We ended up taking the holidays off.
Right.
Yeah, we deserve some time as well. And
Right.
so we took a little bit of a holiday, but we're back here in 2018, and we're going to recap some of the holidays, right?
Yeah, well, so my thought was you can't whine about the holidays when it's the holidays.
That's true.
I just don't have the mojo for that to
Well,
push back on Christmas and New Year's.
And you can't assume it's going to be annoying or something bad, something you need to rail on. Like, get through it.
Because most of it's pretty good. Like, I was in pretty good
most
spirits.
of it's pretty good.
All holidays.
And we had some good cold weather down here that makes it feel sort of, you
Yeah.
know, like the holidays.
Dude, I was in Chicago during Christmas, and it was -4 degrees.
That's not good weather.
It was bad. And
Yeah.
then I was out in Seattle, and it was pretty bitter too. But yeah, it was wild weather-wise. But yeah, we're back, and we're here to talk. Here's our holiday special.
Yeah, this is the holiday special. So, in retrospect, this is a retrospective holiday special.
We're only like 9 days late.
I know. So we're going to talk a little. I got some thoughts on Christmas music because I got to hear a lot of it. I enjoy Christmas music,
Okay.
mainly for sort of the background.
Right.
But I started listening to some lyrics that I thought are somewhat questionable. So we're going to talk about some Christmas music.
All right.
And then we'll talk New Year's resolutions as well.
Right.
Because we're in that time when people are, you know, caring or pretending to care about what they do for a couple of weeks anyway.
Right.
And then as always, we'll conclude with, you know, what's annoying Lee and Chris this week.
Right.
And I've got a couple of good thoughts there. So, good?
Very good.
Okay, so here's my thing with Christmas music. Like everything, I try to forget what I know and just like observe what I see. I'm a very literal person, as you know. So as I start listening to some of these songs, they have some strange, odd lyrics. Some you've probably thought of, some you maybe haven't.
Okay.
I like, you know the song, We Wish You a Merry Christmas? We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Right.
Okay, the third or fourth verse in there, you're familiar with this. They're talking about how happy they are, wishing you a Merry Christmas. And I guess they're at some party. That's the setting, is a holiday party.
Okay.
And they start demanding figgy pudding.
Okay.
Now, bring us some figgy pudding. Now, bring us some figgy. And they were like repeating it like, hey, it's just having...
It's a chant.
Yeah, they're chanting. They're demanding figgy pudding. They didn't ask, do you happen to have figgy pudding? That would be great. They're demanding figgy pudding, which is an odd request anyway. I don't have figgy pudding at my house. I don't have any kind of pudding.
What if I do it? I'm keeping it for myself.
Yeah, what if I made just enough for my family? Not only are they demanding it, but they want it now. They say, bring us some figgy pudding, bring us some figgy pudding, and bring it right now. They need it.
Okay.
Furthermore, we won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. Who are these people, Lee? They're demanding that you bring them figgy pudding. They want it right now. And guess what? I'm not leaving until I get some. So I'll sit here as long as I have to, but I'm going to get some figgy pudding.
You ever heard those conspiracy theories about like popular songs where like figgy pudding might be code for something
Maybe
else?
it's code for something else. Maybe it's a little bump of something.
Maybe it's some substance you're not allowed to talk about in 1940s, 20s, 30s. Song.
That could be.
I don't know.
Well, it seems strange to me when I listened to it, so I thought I'd share that with you.
Dude, that would be like the perfect reason to have a whole new invite list for next year. I had a party. They wouldn't leave.
These people would not leave. Either you drop them or you make sure you have a lot of figgy pudding.
I called Uber Eats. No one was serving figgy pudding.
No one's bringing it around.
It was icy outside. I couldn't get rid of these guys for like 3 days.
Yeah.
They're all hopped up on some codename drug that they didn't know about.
Yeah. I'm going to go ask my dealer for some figgy pudding. Maybe that's what it is. You could be right.
Maybe.
I need
he
to
knows what it is.
Dealer, too. Okay, so that was the first one.
I didn't expect that to go that way.
That's bugged me. Oh, you didn't?
Not to the drugs. No.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, the second one is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Okay.
Everybody like talks about the Rudolph thing, and Yeah, he gets bullied until he has some talent. I'm not even going there. The beginning of the song goes, you know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid. Names all those 8 reindeer. You know all these reindeer. That's what he says. But do you recall the most famous reindeer of all?
It seems backwards.
It seems backwards. Yeah, don't assume I know Donner. If he's the most famous one, yeah, I know that one. I don't know those other clowns. In fact, the only one that I could pick out of a lineup is Rudolph. So don't ask me if I know the most famous one.
Like if you lined up 8 reindeer, would you be able to tell them apart at all?
No, they all look identical except for Rudolph. He's the famous one.
Like if you lined up any 8 of any animal, I'd have a really hard time, other than like maybe a dog or something.
Yeah.
Where the species varies.
Yeah, but we're not breeding different color reindeer with different talents. They all got to fly, and that's about it.
Yeah, and Santa picked the most burly of the bunch to fly the sleigh, but now we need a light.
So don't ask me if I know the most famous of something, if you're going to assume I know the least famous.
If we're making up fables to push on little children, and Santa's got a bag that fits every toy in the planet for every kid, and he can't get a light.
Yeah.
He can't get a install.
Yeah, why was that such a problem?
And that must be one bright nose, because I remember the claymation, stop animation version, and it's not that bright.
Well, but you remember they were all like, oh, God, it's burning their retinas. Maybe just the camera didn't really do it justice.
It must have been bright.
It must have been super bright. And I would think it'd have to be focused, because there's not much benefit to...
the side-to-side view. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of problems with Rudolph, but mainly...
And there's problems with Santa Claus in its entirety.
I don't see that. I think it's purely logical.
I had a buddy one time that was doing like a quick run through like why Santa Claus doesn't make sense, and he was like, obviously you get the picture, but in order for, he like ran the math on if Santa Claus were a physical man and he were to visit every rooftop in every city in one night, he would be vaporized by the speed it would take to cross oceans and go around the planet in 10 hours.
Here's the other thing. Whenever you see Santa in one of those books or in a movie, he bundles back up, he gets in his sleigh, and he just takes off into the night.
Right.
How come he doesn't ever go to the next house?
The next guy? Yeah, is that like a less theatrical takeoff?
Yeah, he should just like have the reindeer, like the trash guy does, right?
Right.
He pulls up, Santa jumps off, delivers, then he just pulls up a little bit further. He just kind of makes his way down the street.
Santa's hanging off the back of the sled.
Yeah,
this is like 1970s New York garbage man.
I think that's more likely than the whole production of all the reindeer flying on the roof and then taking off,
doing a big loop around.
Because that's what they'd have to do. They'd have to take off like a plane, loop around, and then come land back. It seems like a lot of wasted reindeer energy.
It is a ton of wasted energy.
Okay. My next Christmas song is Santa Baby. You know this song. Mm-hmm. It's the kind of sultry one. I think Marilyn Monroe may have sung. No, it was Eartha Kitt. Santa Baby. And it's basically she's treating Santa like a sugar daddy and naming all the stuff she wants.
Right.
Slip a sable under the tree, which is like a mink coat, a sable coat.
Yep.
So I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Here's all the things that she says she wants. She wants the sable. She wants a convertible car, light blue. Let's see. She wants a yacht, and really that's not a lot, she says. So she needs a duplex and checks. So these are all just like things. Here's where I think it jumps the shark, and she kind of goes off the rails. She says, Santa cutie, there's one thing I really do need, the deed to a platinum mine.
A mine?
A mine. A platinum mine. Like, good night. That's like, she took it to a different level.
It's like, I don't want just the physical assets. I want access to more assets in the future.
It's like when you get granted 3 wishes and one of them is to wish for more wishes.
Yeah. Like, I want a tree that grows money.
She should have just asked for the platinum mine, and that's kind of it. I think she would have been. She could have bought her own sable and convertible.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to talk about it super literally, right? So
yes,
if she wants, however many tons of platinum are going to be unearthed in her mine, she's got to get mine carts. She needs.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to that. That's a good point.
What year is this written?
So this was written by Joan Javits, Philip Springer, and Tony Springer.
If we're talking pre-2000, she needs like a lot of manual gear.
I don't see when it was written, but it ain't new.
Yeah, so we'll call it like 1960 because they're talking about convertibles.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna need a lot of manual stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if the hydraulic lift has
She's
been
probably
done
like, you know what, just
properly.
bring me the checks. And the ring and the sable and the convertible.
Yeah, I'll just take that stuff. I'm not
Light
interested in becoming a miner.
Yeah. So that one I thought was strange. It just sort of like threw me.
Right.
A platinum mine? That's not a thing.
What like who has the gall to ask for a mine?
Yeah, I think they just needed something that rhymed. You know, but think of something else.
Oh man, that is bad. How about like a stack of gold bullion?
Yeah.
That'd be better. You don't have to mine it.
Good point. Be a lot easier. Okay, the next one is I got two more.
Okay.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, right? Andy Williams is famous for singing this one. It's the most wonderful time of the year. And he talks about all the things that goes on.
Right.
And part of it, he says, there'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for roasting, and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories and blah, 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 blah.
Like mixing in
Did
Halloween.
you ever? Yeah. Scary ghost stories? Did you even notice that in the song?
No.
Yeah. And who tells ghost stories at Christmas?
I'm trying to think.
I've never heard of that. And I think it's kind of, I don't know, kind of crappy for the kids, you know?
They're not interested in hearing ghost stories.
No, don't scare them.
You know what's wild is like there's a lot of things built into Christmas that are like ghost-like features, right? So like the elf on the shelf thing is something you see a lot of on social media.
It's
and it's
super
like,
creepy.
The elf is not a ghost, but it's like he has his own will and he can do stuff. He can affect your living space, and he's watching you.
Yeah.
So that's like a
And he's
borders on ghosts.
he's narking on you to Santa.
all the time.
That's the whole premise. Oh, you better watch out. He's telling Santa. Yeah, I'm not. My thing is, I'm not. If you ask me a question, I give you the real answer. So in some ways, that takes maybe some of the fun out of Christmas for my kid.
When did your kid learn that there was no Santa Claus?
Now I prefaced that by acting like I told him there's no Santa. I didn't say that, but I won't like go to great lengths to perpetuate this lie year in and year out, so that he's the only 17-year-old taking their class pictures and he finds out that Santa's not real. But it wasn't long. I mean, we maybe had they're kind of conscious of what's going on at like 4.
Right.
And we probably had about 3 Christmases that he believed it. 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
The last 3 he has not. 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, so I'm like thinking back on my own Santa Claus experience, and my parents were like never on board with Santa Claus, even for a second. So like the biggest giveaway was all the kids at school. I'm talking like as early as like kindergarten. We're talking about how Santa Claus was going to bring them something.
Yeah.
And I was like, Santa Claus comes to my house on New Year's Eve. And they were like, no, he doesn't. I was like, yeah, because there is no Santa Claus. My dad bought that for me. And so I was the kid who was ruining it. And I had like, obviously there's some sensitivity that goes along with that I did not have at that point.
Yeah, we've had to be very mindful about that, and spend time with them. Hey, this is important to some kids. It's not up to you to tell him it's not real, and he gets it. He's cool with that, but he doesn't buy into it. Now, as we get closer, he'll start to play the game a little bit.
Right.
And I thought this year, you mentioned the elf on a shelf. That's a giant pain in the butt.
I've never done that.
You're gonna,
Am I?
And yeah, next year you're gonna, because David's gonna be old enough to know what's going on, right? He's going to be 2, 3, almost 3.
He'll be 2 here in a minute, but almost 3. But yeah, he gets into those toys and just like destroys the wrapping paper. So we're on the precipice.
Well, the elf's a giant pain in the butt because you got to move him every night. That's the whole thing.
And you got to have like a shtick for him to get involved
yes,
with. Yeah.
And so you'll be laying in bed, late. You're having a glass of wine. Turn out the lights. You're like, oh, dang it! I didn't move the dang elf. And then you're up trying to think of where to put him. And then something cute to do. And several times I forgot. And then the wife's mad, and the kid wants to know what's going on.
Well, the clip test for this is, or the Cliff Notes is, go online and just, because people are so pumped about what they come up with, they can't help themselves from telling the entire world.
Yeah, just half of those great ideas are inappropriate to do in my house. They've always got the elf like barfing, or
90% of them are pretty inappropriate.
yeah, little liquor bottles all around him. So I'm like, all right, come on.
I don't know. Figgy pudding, just
figgy pudding everywhere, all over his nose. Okay, so that was it's the most wonderful time of the year. The last one is "Baby, It's Cold Outside."
Okay,
and this is the duet. Do you know the song? Baby, it's cold outside.
All these Christmas songs you've heard, but you've never listened to. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I have.
You have.
I have.
And this is why you're educating us.
That's why I'm bringing this to you. That's why I'm sharing this with you.
My man, appreciate it.
Now, I have thought about this song for a few years because it's very date rapey. I'm sorry to say, and it now with this year's all the sexual harassment stuff that's come out with all the media guys, this song I heard it this year, like people giving it some guff because it's this woman's at this guy's house, she's trying to leave, he's not letting her leave, he's telling her you can't go out there, you're gonna get pneumonia. He keeps pouring her drinks. She keeps saying no. She even says the answer is no. But baby, it's cold outside.
Right.
He takes her hat off. It's borderline harassment.
So I think I was.
You couldn't write that song now.
No. There's a lot of the things that are commonly accepted today you couldn't do now, and things that have been commercially successful for a long time. And so I was sitting in a store. One of those outdoor malls where it's freezing outside.
Yeah.
And this was in Chicago, actually. And so in order to get from one store to the other, it's like you got to be ready. You got to have your game face on. And so I'm sitting in one of the places, and I'm looking outside, and it's freezing. And they're playing that song, and I had been listening to the lyrics just because I've got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And, yeah, man, it really struck me as like, who's this guy?
Take no for an answer, bro.
And why are they playing it in a publicly traded retailer? Considering all these things. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and one of my things I'm trying to be less worried about is like I'm not gonna like worry about what companies do or like what they think about stuff. I'm just gonna use the stuff that I think is best. And they had a pair of jeans that I thought was pretty darn good, and I bought them. And I didn't worry about what song was on the radio or what kind of coffee cups they served.
Was that normally an issue for you prior to this year?
No. But I mean, it's like anytime anyone says, and there's something controversial, and then some group identifies it as being like something that they're against.
It's sort of like when Chick-fil-A came out in support of some,
whatever,
right?
Some conservative thing.
Yeah, and then certain people were like, "Oh, I'm not eating at Chick-fil-A.
I'm not going there anymore."
My wife actually works with someone who was scolding her for going there. And I'm like, their chicken's delicious. I'm sorry. I'm not looking to them for political advice or guidance on how to live my life. And I like their chicken.
Like, there's for instance, I have this Apple thing, and I've got this other Apple thing, and I don't really love Apple. We've talked about this. Mm-hmm. And then they have like some political stances that I'm just like, come on.
Yeah.
And I don't believe it anymore. But they make the best thing right now for what I want to use it for. I'm sorry, I'm not looking to you for political advice, like you said.
You don't have to buy into everything.
Yeah.
You're just buying a computer.
And I feel like it's not new, but it's becoming more broadly talked about. Is like if you, like the NFL right now, we've talked about this some. And so like, I'm not in love with the people not standing for the anthem. So like I tried to not watch games for a while. But I love football.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, get out there, crank it up. Let's play football. But yeah, it's been like, that was one of the things that I'm like, I'm just not going to get involved. I'm going to do the stuff I want to do, and I'm not even going to worry about it.
Yeah. Don't sweat that stuff.
I'm not sweating it anymore.
Is this a New Year's resolution?
No. This is just a thing.
Any other thoughts on Christmas?
Songs?
Or otherwise?
Yeah, there's always the conversation about like where the symbols from Christmas come from.
Mm-hmm.
You heard this?
No.
Like
well,
the
maybe.
Christmas tree for one.
I've heard about like the stockings, you know, that Saint Nicholas, you'd put them outside your door, I believe, and he'd put, you know, candy or something in them.
Yeah.
And that's the old Saint Nicholas.
Is it? I don't know too much about it. And maybe we should look into this maybe further. We have a little what's it? Appendix
to the
to the story,
to the episode.
But like the tree is an interesting dynamic for Christmas because maybe this is. You already know this, or you already know
I don't know this.
But the Christmas tree is a pagan symbol in Germanic culture for some god.
Yeah.
And so in the region, in the time, and I can't even tell you what time this was, Christians weren't allowed to like use symbols, so they used the trees as their Christmas symbols. So they borrowed like a pagan thing or something from another religion essentially and made it their own. And so what I think is really interesting about that is if you look through history, there are lots of times when specific groups will grab some religious symbol, make it their own, and change the meaning entirely. And so I'm looking around politically today, and this is why I think it's so important what we define words as. And so when someone says this word and we're going to morph it just a little bit into something else, is important because it changes meanings and it changes your recollection of history on this. So that's a maybe too deep of a conversation, but it's interesting.
I think it's fascinating where some of those traditions come from. And if we're still doing this next Christmas, maybe we can do that too, because there's a ton of tradition that that you do and you don't even think about, and
candy canes, the stockings, the trees, tinsel is another thing that's interesting. The lights on the trees, there used to be obviously candles.
Yeah, and there's how come I can't get those? So there's these pretzels. These things are delicious. They're flat pretzels. They're covered with white chocolate and then peppermint pieces. So it's that peppermint bark. You know what I mean? Basically on a pretzel.
But with pretzel inside.
Yeah.
Which changes the game entirely.
They're amazing.
Way better.
How come I can only get those at Christmas?
They're holding on you.
It's ridiculous. Demand. Those things would be delicious in July. Come on.
Yeah, sprinkle a little blue on there too.
Make it a 4th of July pretzel.
Chris.
We're going to cut that because I'm going to go market that tomorrow.
You'd kill on Shark Tank.
All right. So let's move on to New Year's.
Yeah.
Are you a New Year's resolution guy? I am not.
Yeah. So I come up with New Year's resolutions, and they're like pretty just for me. Like I don't like go to the party and tell everyone my New Year's resolution. It's just like I try to do self-inventories on a regular basis, and then I have the way my calendar syncs up. Like I have some things end on New Year's just because that's a calendar year.
Yeah.
And then I try to think of some new things I can work on for the year. And generally, when I've focused on a specific thing, it's gone pretty well. But like what people think when they hear New Year's resolution, they think of this list I have in front of me.
Oh yeah, you have a list.
So yeah, this is Nielsen's top 10 New Year's resolutions, and we can brush over them. These two go together.
We were laughing about how in January when you go to the gym,
right,
it's all of a sudden crowded. I was there 2 weeks ago. There's nobody there, but man, January it's tough to find a parking spot.
So we go to the gym. And I'm not like a workout guy.
Yeah, clearly.
Anymore. Yeah, for sure. Clearly. I know. The vest is slimming. The top two are to stay fit and healthy and lose weight. And that encompasses a huge...
That's almost 70% of New Year's resolutions.
Yes, so that's huge. And so you go to the gym, and you see this every time. I go to the gym because they have the hot tub, and they got the pool, and they'll watch your kid for a little bit, which is amazing.
I don't do any of that stuff at the gym. You go swim?
Lifetime.
Yeah.
So
they have it at mine, too. I don't like getting in public waters.
I'd see, and that's the thing. I don't really even go in the water that much. It's like I go in the sauna, and then I sit by the pool and read a book or write things that are annoying me for our next podcast.
So you're not actually like exercising.
This is not a workout. This is recreation. But the place is packed for like a month.
Yeah.
And then it's dead. It's
Right.
like way dead for a couple months. And then it picks back up to its normal thing. But the reason that's so funny to me is because the fourth one on the list is spend less and save more. So all these people get all excited to lose weight and then be fit. And then they're like,
what are you going to stay home?
man, I'm spending a ton of money on this gym membership. So I got two directives here. I think I'm going to go for the one where I don't go to the gym.
I thought you were saying you get all good looking and then, you want to go out and flaunt it a little bit too. You got to go spend some money. You got to go flash it.
Yeah, well.
So we got stay fit and healthy is number 1.
Yeah.
Lose weight's number 2. Enjoy life to the fullest is number 3.
Number 3, yeah.
That's a strange one.
That's so strange. And this is from Nielsen. So these aren't like things we made up, like some of our, or like a bunch of lists put together.
Sure, right. This has some legitimacy to it. Enjoy life to the fullest. Spend less, save more. Spend more time with family and friends. Get organized.
Right.
Now, this is get organized isn't necessarily a New Year's resolution in our house, but it sort of just fits with what's going on. You pack away, all the Christmas decorations, you put them away, and as I'm doing that, like we always kind of get rid of stuff. One of the things I love about my wife is that she and I have the same mentality around clutter.
Right.
And so we're not hoarders at all. If anything, we probably get rid of stuff too soon.
You get rid of it, and then you have to go buy it again?
Yeah, and they're like, oh, well, I got to go buy another lamp because I just threw that one away. But I'm of the mindset, like, if I buy a shirt, then I need to get rid of a shirt. Find the shirt that I haven't worn in 12 months, and it's out of there. I only want a certain number of shirts and pants and shoes. I still have too many of all that stuff.
Yeah, dude. I got to get rid of, like, 50 shirts. I've got shirts from, like, college.
Yeah, and you won't wear them.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, but they're good shirts. You don't want to just throw them away.
Well, those are the ones I'm making pocket squares out of the back panels, but, like, how many of those am I going to make?
I don't know.
I just got to get rid of, like, 30.
Yeah.
2 is the answer, actually.
So, spend more time with family and friends.
Yep.
Get organized. Will not make any resolutions.
Yeah, so
that's a resolution.
That's just like a group.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was your resolution, was to not make any resolutions.
Yeah, I will resolve to not resolve. Learn something new hobby. And so we talked about this.
This seems to be one that you like take up. When you do an annual inventory, you tend to bring something else into the mix.
Yeah, so last year, and this wouldn't have fallen into New Year's resolutions at all, but I do like to get in the mix and stuff. Like we talked Bitcoin. I just bought a boatload of deep brain chain cryptocurrency, and it's one of those currencies that you have to like go into a special exchange, and then you have to go trade it live with another person on the internet. It's insane.
Yeah, it sounds insane.
And I'm just like, I'm in it because I want to be in it.
Yeah.
And it's already down like 10%. So.
There was the year that you resolved to read all the classics.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot. I think I want to do that.
That was really cool, actually.
Yeah.
That was pre-kid, though, so I could like stay up all night.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore.
But yeah, so it's good that I did it when I did it, or like I could do it much later. But like this year, we resolved to kind of have like more hobbies and things we can do in the house. That's where the sewing came from.
Right.
That's where the idea for podcasts kind of came from. But we have been watching Shark Tank in our house at night because it's like on right at the time. We used to watch Wheel of Fortune every night because that's when the oldest went to bed.
B!
W! Yeah, make sure you yell it.
Yeah, make sure you scream it.
Yeah.
There's old people watching.
And so now that kid's bedtime is later, and we went to the PlayStation View, so we have more channels. So like Shark Tank's on, and that's interesting. So one of the things we're gonna do is do a little like nonsense business,
a little side hustle.
A little side hustle. I don't know if you could call it even a side hustle. It's like an activity you do that you could sell on like Etsy, and that would maybe someone would buy one. Kind of like having a viewer for your podcast.
Yeah. Maybe our viewer could buy one.
Yeah, viewer, are you interested in the thing I'm making?
We'll see.
Yeah, so that's pretty. I mean, I've done a lot of things where, like, one year my resolution was to, because I got there was a time in my career where I really leveraged someone to help me get a specific job that I wanted, and then to pay it forward in the next year, my resolution was to help as many people get the jobs they wanted. Because, you know how often that happens.
Yeah.
Someone calls you and they want, to talk to your recruiter, or, who's doing this over there? Do you know anybody? So, yeah, that was it one time. So I have a lot of different ones. Do you have any?
Mine don't tend to fall around a New Year resolution. They tend to fall around something that's happening. So I like to have a beach vacation somewhere on the calendar because I'm vain, and so it helps keep me in shape. And then when I don't want to go, I think about how I'm going to look on the beach. I know it's stupid, but it helps.
That is stupid.
Or last year I had that Scotland golf trip on the calendar, and so my thought wasn't around working out; it was around practicing, going to the driving range. Yeah. And so if I'd skip lunch and go to the driving range for an hour, or I'd go home, and instead of going for a run, I'd prioritize what's kind of immediately in front of me.
Yeah,
and I gotta get a beach vacation on the calendar because I'm falling apart.
So one of the things that hops out to me on this list is live life to the fullest, and this is something that's happening as I get older. Is like life seems to have a lot of the fun stuff sucked out of it, and so you have to resolve to inject fun back in.
Yeah.
Or like enjoy things more. Do you feel like that ever happens to you?
100%. Yes. Yeah. It's something I'm conscious of. So at least, it's sort of like the alcoholic. You got to admit you have a problem. So I know why it's happening. I know that it's happening.
Right.
But it doesn't mean you can just flip the switch and it doesn't happen. So yeah, I try to think more about the good things and not be as stressed about everything that's lined up behind me and in front of me. But I think I do okay with it. I mean, I'm not an unhappy person.
Well, not only are you not an unhappy person, you're probably one of the happier people I know, and you're also one of the best complainers I know.
Thank you.
Maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, get it out. Get it out. Just get it off your chest.
It's eloquent complaining. It's not just like, oh, this is bothering me. This is bothering me, and here's an itemized list.
Yes.
That's stack ranked on why.
Yeah. See, I've got all those Christmas things out of my head now. I can move on.
Yeah, game on. Let's do Q1.
Yeah, we'll find out. Learn something new. You just did.
Yeah.
Travel more.
Travel more. Read more. Are the last two, and those are like people's. I would group those into a category of like people want to be more informed. They want to not feel like they're just doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Pretty standard thought,
yeah.
I'd say.
On one hand, I know some people are cynical about New Year's resolutions. Like, well, then just do all that stuff. You don't need the New Year. But the reality is, it is nice to have a start and a stop. And, now's my starting point. And, even if you just go to the gym for January and February, like, at least you kind of got moving. And maybe next year it's through March. And, maybe it just, I don't know. I don't have a problem with people making resolutions. Even though I'm cynical about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I don't have problems with people making resolutions. The fitness one, I think, is the one that lends itself to the most extent on, like, if you're going to do that, just do that now.
Fitness and diet, totally for me. Like, you need to alter kind of how you think about, your long-term health, not losing 10 pounds. You know what I mean?
Right. Or not like I'm going to get to the gym 3 times a week. Because, dude, I get to the gym probably 2 times a week and I never touch weight.
Yeah. You're sitting in the sauna, though.
Yeah, well, I'm losing weight. for a minute.
Oh, that's all that matters.
Yeah, the reason I like the New Year's resolution, and this is like kind of just for me, is I say there is a starting point, and then there's a point that I just have to hustle through and get to where I get to reevaluate the goal.
Yeah.
And say, okay, that was worth it or that wasn't worth it, and I'll do something else. But if you don't do it for a year, you don't have enough sample size to be like, oh, this is worth it. Because there is the, Arnold Schwarzenegger calls it the pain period, where you are doing something against your will to better yourself, and it takes some time, and then sometimes that's less than a year. Yeah. I think. That's, again, besides the point. So, the last thing I have on New Year's Eve is, do you remember, or did you go to a New Year's Eve party this year?
Yeah, but it was a small one. Neighborhood party. You know, we got kids now, and so there was like 3 couples and their kids. And yeah, it was fine. It was nice to go somewhere. It was nice to be invited somewhere. Because normally we kind of host that thing, and we sort of didn't host anything this year.
Yeah, so I don't know if we did anything for New Year's. No, I stayed up. My wife is working the twins right now. So, she's in bed as early as those children will let her. And so I was the sole member in the household, like waiting for the New Year so that I could be like, we have a unbroken record of someone in the house. Complete nonsense goal. But yeah, I remember just like sitting there and being like, yeah, this is kind of nice. Hanging out.
And what did you, so it was just you.
Yeah.
So when the clock strikes, did you have a cocktail? Did you drink some champagne? Did you?
No.
Did you commemorate it in any way other than going to bed?
No, I commemorated it with my consciousnness.
And then brushed your teeth and went to sleep?
No, it was too late. I was too tired. This was down.
No, I do like to ring in the new year with, a toast and a, that kind of
happy to you. Yeah. I like that. So one of the things I was mentioning about New Year's parties is there was like a time post-college and pre-married life where there was like this weird thing where there was New Year's Eve things going on everywhere, and you wouldn't commit to one until you found the best one.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'll go to that one unless something better comes up.
Hey, I'm a maybe.
Yeah. And then so if I threw one of these parties one time, and then it was maybes until like 10 o'clock that night. And then the place just blew up. I guess I was the best option available to people that were hoping for something better.
I think the worst New Year's Eve party I can remember was I was in college, or maybe just out of college, but old enough to drink, and somebody had made, what trash can punch is? It's basically like probably a bunch of Kool-Aid and Everclear, and so it's terrible. It's not good for you, and it was just a giant mess. Like before even midnight. And it was at somebody else's house, so I was like, oh, I'm out. Because it was just every kind of mess you can think of.
Oh, good night.
Sorry, that was a terrible recollection. Trash can punch, Everclear, Kool-Aid.
Gross. So that's my take on New Year's. So the breakdown was Chris had Christmas, I had New Year's.
Yes.
Which brings us to what's annoying Lee and Chris this week.
What's annoying Lee and Chris this week?
What do you got?
Okay, my first thing that is annoying me this week, and I heard it recently, is when someone says to you, when you say something and I said the same thing, or and they go, hey, great minds think alike.
Right.
It really annoys me.
Right.
Because simple minds also think alike.
Yes.
Don't assume just because we came to the same conclusion that we're both intelligent.
Right.
We could both be idiots. And
totally.
Just think the same. So don't assume.
So I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's like has this little bit about how he talks about how in a room full of idiots, it's just the guy with the most confidence that wins. It's right.
That's true.
He's like, no, this is it, and all the idiots are like, okay. And so, like, if you are in that space and you're thinking the same just because someone was like, oh, I think like that now, I think like that now, and you've got a bad idea with numbers.
Yeah, it makes you feel better.
Oh,
it validates, and even if it's a terrible idea.
You and I think the same.
Yeah, hey, I saw you.
We think great minds alike.
Great minds.
Perfect.
That's my first. I have a second one. It's a doozy.
I got
So stay
a whole
tuned.
bunch here.
Oh.
I wrote these right after I got off a plane with 3 kids under 2. So my gears were grinded.
Yeah. Everything was just flashing back on all the things that you hate.
So I obviously kids on planes is like the worst thing ever for the parent bringing the kids and then for the people around them.
And the kids.
And the kids, they hate it.
I feel so bad when we're landing and their ears are popping and they're crying and you can see it's painful. I feel bad for them.
I'm like,
you can't tell them, hey, it'll be fine in just a minute.
Yeah, because he
Your ears are
understands
popping.
that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to get him to drink this bottle while he's like his little sippy cup while he's doing it, and that seemed to help. But again, it doesn't matter. So here's a funny one. So like when you're in a business meeting and it's supposed to be serious, we're talking about serious stuff, like stuff that pertains to your career, welfare, and self-betterment in the future. And your boss gets up there and he's like, he swears, and then like everyone in the room just lights up, and they're like, "Oh, he's so funny!" That's like nonstop. Look in your life, and so like we do this show completely clean, and one of the reasons I love Jerry Seinfeld is because his show is clean.
Yeah.
And I like TV shows that are clean because I think it demonstrates it's a smarter intelligence. It's a smarter comedy that there's no shock value involved.
Retweet.
So, when guys do that, I'm like, do you think that that's like gonna impress me?
Don't pander.
What is this? Like now I think less of you, but then I'm looking around the room and everyone's like,
yeah, they're eating it
they're
up.
loving it. I'm like, why is that? That's what's grinding my gears on a professional.
I like it. It's a good one. It's one I've noticed before as well. I had not articulated just yet, but that's a really good one. My second and last. This could also have been included in our What's Overrated segment. I think it was our first podcast.
Yeah, we should almost rerun that because
I got a whole nother list. Like I couldn't have gotten to the second group, but it's come up in the last week. Mm-hmm. What's annoying me is people that think that sitting in a booth is superior to sitting at a table. I hate a booth unless. If there's 2 people, if it's me and you, a booth is ideal. It's great. We both have a cushioned seat. We get to look at each other. But any other scenario, 3, 4, 1, it's nowhere near as good as a table.
There's tremendous impropriety between the 2 on one side and 1 guy on the other.
Yeah. And, okay, if we sit at a 4-person table, I can see all of you like this, right? We sit in a booth. Like, I can't see you. I'm looking at these people. I got to look like this. My neck hurts. Plus, we're fighting for elbow space. If you got to get out and go to the John, I got to get out and let you out. Our knees touch. Booths are ridiculous.
Booths are not cool for that reason. One thing I'll piggyback on yours is people that are on dates and they're in booths and they're both sitting on the same side. I know it's none of my business. I can't care enough.
No, we need to stop that.
I see that. I'm just
We gotta
come on. Yeah.
You should interject in that and go and say, this is not going to work out. Neither of you are meant for this.
This is a symbol that your relationship isn't going to make it because
we don't want you in our society anymore.
The PDA is just going to get you kicked off the island.
Yeah, don't sit next to one another. Now, this is where a table, even for 2 people, can be good. Because you can sit here, I can sit here.
And there's still that closeness that
they're still
wanting.
Close. We can sit, talk, we can hold hands. But we're not, like, filming a TV show where we're just on one side of the table.
Right.
Like we are right here.
Right. Well, yeah.
Yeah. So
in
the
our first
booth.
episode, it's like we are not above anything we say.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so the booth. So here's a pretty funny one. People that are on social media and they're perpetually sad.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're upset, I have to unfollow you. That's like the nice way to unfriend someone now. Because I'm just not gonna sit here and listen to you whine about everything every day. Because I am trying to make my little news feed like kind of put what I want in there.
Yeah.
And Facebook is doing that for me too. And so is Twitter and co. So I'm like, if you're gonna be upset all the time, unless you know me well enough where I care about this stuff, stop putting it here.
Yeah, it just kind of goes to show that, people are going to those things to reinforce what they want to hear, whether they want to be sad, whether they want to be happy. They want to pass along good stories, pass along negative stories, pass along Republican stories, pass along liberal stories. You know what I mean? It's just, we're not, it's funny how much information is now out there for us and how little we're actually taking in.
Right.
We're just sitting in our own swimming pool
saying the same things back to each other. And so when we talk about all this stuff, like we kind of dance around a lot of political things, and I think that's probably wise for us to do. But we're dealing with the same stuff that we've been dealing with for thousands of years as human beings, and it's that swing from left to right. It's that never-ending pendulum, and swings one way, and like we react the same way that we did as human beings 1,000 years ago when it swings way left.
Just with a microphone.
Right.
No.
Yeah, now everyone gets to hear it, or one person gets to hear it.
Right. One person in our case.
Yes. Hey, bud.
Hey.
So yeah, do you have any more?
No, that's it.
All right, I'll wrap through my last two, and we'll finish on time here. Is the glorification of Marilyn Monroe.
You feel like Marilyn Monroe has been over-glorified.
Yes.
And that's grinding your gears.
It doesn't, well, this doesn't, it's just annoying.
Yeah, well, explain.
Well, so Marilyn Monroe is like, she was like one of those, she was in like a bunch of different relationships where she was being abused, and she was, it would be like glorifying Monica Lewinsky, and then on the same time glorifying like some lewd actress, and then
Anna Nicole Smith.
All these grimy personalities in one, and they're like, oh, she's queen. So on the airplane, when I was writing this, there was this girl next to me, and she had a full-on sweatsuit, and it had Marilyn Monroe all over it, and just like her little quotes of like shenanigans and nonsense. And so what that made me think of was, A, that's lame and it's annoying to me. B is the people that do the same thing with Scarface.
Yeah.
So Scarface is like this horrible guy.
Yeah.
No one can trust him. He's just out for himself, and he kills people, and he deals drugs. He's all the worst things.
And it's not even a very good movie.
It's a horrible movie.
The movie's terrible. The acting is terrible. The premise is, come on. Yeah, it's the accent. It's just over the top. It's like a caricature.
It's a caricature, and then so the best verbalization of this is done by John Mulaney. He's got a great Scarface bit.
I need to hear that.
Yeah, well, I'll let you listen to it. And then the last thing is, on the John Mulaney front, is anytime people make comedians apologize for jokes, you can't have it anymore, man. We are on the edge of like not being able to, like, if your mouth it's not legal for your mouth to say something, or if you do, you have to apologize or pay some kind of penalty. Like, that's what's next. Is FCC says, who's a comedian that's kind of funny right now?
Dave Chappelle says some. I don't know if you've seen his new Netflix
He's got a new
special.
one, right?
Yeah.
I've seen the old new one.
So he's got, he had in his old new one, when he was talking about Bruce Jenner and stuff,
right,
he took a lot of heat from.
He had to apologize.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that he apologized, but he does address it in this new Netflix special. You should watch it. There's two parts. The first one I think is really funny.
Okay.
Really funny. The second one is a little more like political, and I don't think quite as funny, but interesting.
Okay. Hopefully that alarm goes off. Yeah, so that is one thing, and I just like, and this goes for all perspectives. If you can't make a joke, that's the last straw.
Yeah.
Because next stop is 1984 Orwell. That's a book I read in the classics here.
I've read that.
But yeah, really interesting stuff. And I can't have it anymore. It's grinding my gears. And that's all.
That's it. I like the Marilyn Monroe take. I had not thought about that. But there's definitely something to that. I think about when do murderers go from being despised in their time to being glorified?
Like Capone.
Right, Capone. So we live in Round Rock, right?
Yeah.
The main street through Round Rock, the old main street, is called Sam Bass Road. Sam Bass was an outlaw, like back in the Old West days, and he was killed in Round Rock. And he was like a bank robber and stuff. Terrible guy. That day, he killed a Texas Ranger or the deputy in Round Rock, and then, you know, they got a posse together and killed him. But, like, I can't imagine when they decided to name the road after him.
Yeah.
You know?
There's all these famous outlaws.
Yeah, when Billy the Kid.
Jesse James.
Yeah, now we're so infatuated, you know, all the other mafia guys, like, when do they, like, at what point do we start, you know, idolizing those guys?
That is a great point. And
serial killers as well. Right?
Who?
Like Jack the Ripper? I mean, everybody's sort of fascinated
Yeah,
with
that's
that.
an interesting take, because that's like the original.
Yeah.
And that was, what, like 200 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
So at some point, like, Jeffrey Dahmer is going to be on T-shirts and stuff. And like,
with his quotes.
He was so mysterious. Like, get out of here, man.
Woof.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we're back. We're sorry we missed you, but we'll be back hopefully once a week. Every Thursday is kind of our schedule. We're on iTunes. We are on Google. We are on YouTube. Find us there, and we'll talk soon.